Right, the next session is going to be with Raya. And Raya is the CEO of School of Humanity. And she's going to present to us what the future of education looks like. She's been building out an amazing organization, helping young entrepreneurs shift their mindset, really give a 360 view on what it means to now live in this world. So everything in regard to well-being, in regard to being more present, in regard to, how do you take an idea and make it profitable, and also just talking about all these exponential technologies that are disrupting us currently, right? There's so much happening, but disrupting us in a positive way. Like, there's so much benefit. Like, I think there's a lot of dystopia that's painted with the power of technology, but there's so much hope in it. There's so much that we've gained from it, especially with COVID coming around. I mean, if it wasn't for Zoom, we would have serious issues with connecting with each other, right? So we're excited to hear Raya talk about the future of education. I love what she's doing. She has spoken at the chamber before, very inspirational. I hope you guys are with her, stay with her through the end. And then we have 3 of her young entrepreneurs who are going to present about the Dubai token economy. What does this really look like? Talk about blockchain a little, and the future of money. Raya, welcome. Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to wait for the clicker, if we have that. Oh, amazing. I'll just signal you then. Thank you so much. Okay.
No, I'll get it for you. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea. The clicker always disappears.
At events, we always lose the clicker as well. It's very common. Oh, I think it's it. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you. Awesome. All right. So hi, everyone. My name is Raya. I'm the founder and chief executive officer of School of Humanity, and I'll be talking about what School of Humanity is in a moment. But as Anne mentioned, my mission is all about reinventing education and reinventing schools in order to better serve humanity. Now, more often than not, I don't need to have a problem slide because everyone agrees that there's lots of issues with our traditional education systems. But to recap, there's issues with how we learn and why and what we learn, as well as why we learn. So if you survey most learners in schools today, according to research, 70% of them say they hate going to school. That's a very strong word. Combine that with the fact that we're seeing a global skills gap, which is a gap between the skills that we need in the workforce and the skills we focus on in education, and combined with the fact that many of us, 84% to be specific, state that most of the information we memorize in school, we don't use in today's world, right? So there's mismatch with how we're learning and what we're learning. Now, what I'm hoping to guide you through today is this journey of what if we started from scratch? Right? So more often than not, when we try to innovate a system, or in this case, try to innovate the education system, we work within the constraints of the existing system. We're working within the constraints of exams, university admissions, and that kind of forces us into a box. But the question I want to pose to all of you is this. So imagine you erased our entire education system. Imagine none of it existed. And you got to design it from scratch. Right? So you got to design an entirely new model of education. The question is, would you still have exams? Would you still have subjects? Would you still have schools? What would the role of the teacher be? And this is an imagination exercise, but it's also a practical exercise that I think we need to take. So what I'm hoping to do is share a few case studies of schools that did this well. So one of the schools is the Agora School in Netherlands. They're a school with no classrooms, no subjects, and no teachers. Every student has their own personalized curriculum. Instead of classrooms, they have open learning environments, and the teachers are coaches. They help personalize the curriculum to each learner. Then you have the New View School in Boston, where there are no subjects. The learners develop their skills in an interdisciplinary way through 2-week studios, And then there's an example of this in the elementary school context, which is Prisma Education, which is an online network of primary school homeschoolers that learn together by solving real-world challenges. Now, what I want you to keep in mind is all of these schools have a history of learners getting into universities and becoming successful, because some of these ideas will sound really radical. So what I want to guide you through before I hand over to our awesome learners to present on the future of money is what would a model like this look like exactly, without exams, without schools, and without classrooms. So if we erased exams, what we all, I think, would agree would be a better assessment of learning is project-based assessments. Real-world projects and solutions that are tagged to skills, mindsets, and values that a learner has learned. This is what we also refer to as formative assessments in the education space. Instead of one exam at the end of the year determining your worth, it's a question of constant projects. What if we didn't have report cards? There's a movement in the education space towards skill transcripts, which show you all of the transferable skills you've developed tagged to a portfolio of projects. So this is an example of such a transcript. This is actually from the Mastery Transcript Consortium. They're a consortium of thousands of schools from around the world that have started to adopt this kind of a transcript. They're also lobbying with universities in the United States to start to help admissions offices read a transcript like this. So it's a much more holistic overview of understanding the entirety of a learner and the evidence of the kinds of work they've done. What if we designed a model with no subjects? So if you think about reality and the world at large, reality is interdisciplinary. Right? So all of the challenges of our world, whether it's the gender gap or climate change, are interdisciplinary challenges. Not a single discipline alone can explain and solve them, but a collection of them can. And when we talk about interdisciplinary learning, we mean having themes and challenges guide the learning experience, where you still learn math and English and science, but in a connected way through these interdisciplinary projects. Another question is, what if we designed this model without courses? Right? So courses traditionally is how we framework, how we design the learning experience, the learning journey. And what we're seeing now, progressive schools like the ones I mentioned, like us, instead of courses having challenge paths where a challenge guides the learning experience, or self-paced projects that learners do at their own pace that guides the learning experience. So when we erase courses, it's interesting to imagine other ways we would set the framework for learning. Now, this is a controversial one, and I'm not stating that we won't have teachers in the future. In fact, I think teachers play the most important role in society, and we need to make it a more prestigious and well-paid and well-balanced role. But the role of educators in a model like the one I've just described is radically different. They're not lecturers, they're not transferees of information, but they're learning facilitators, helping every learner on their journey with their projects and their personalized learning paths. They're mentors, they're coaches, and we might have different words for that role of a teacher with that in mind. So I want to give you a bit of context to School of Humanity before I hand over the mic to three of our learners who are here today. So School of Humanity is designed to be the high school for the world. We essentially saw that these progressive schools like the ones I mentioned were only accessible in the West. They were only accessible to wealthy families. So we moved it into an online-first context through online and hybrid programs to make them accessible to the rest of the world. So we're an online school with a really innovative learning model and an interdisciplinary curriculum, and our learners develop their skills, mindsets, and behaviors by tackling real-world challenges. So the way we've designed it is pretty much the journey I just walked you through. Instead of subjects, it's interdisciplinary. Instead of exams, we have project-based assessments. It's online, but we're moving towards hybrid as well. No lectures, all workshops and mentorship sessions. We don't have courses. Instead, our learners undergo their journeys through challenge, skill, and career paths. And everything we've done so far has been through, go back for a second. Everything we've done so far has been through after school and summer school programs, but we're moving towards launching our 4-year high school shortly. Now, I want to leave you with a quote, which I think is relevant to education as well as our economies and any system we want to reimagine. It's from the future Buckminster Fuller, where he says, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the old one or the existing one obsolete." So with that, I'd like to hand over to our learners to demonstrate the outcomes of their learning journey on the Future of Money Challenge path at School of Humanity. Thank you, Gab.
Thank you so much, Raya. So just to begin, can we have a raise of hands here? Who here knows what a cryptocurrency or NFT is? Okay, see, that's a fair few of you. However, if I was to ask the same question to any member of one of these lower economically developing countries, this most likely would not be the response. So through root cause analysis, we found that one thing that each of these countries had in common is a low financial literacy rate. This being prevalent in our way of through Nigeria with a 31.1% financial literacy rate. So this brings us to the overall problem of providing easier access to funds through modern forms of currency for people in LEDCs.
Now, before we jump into our actual solution, just a bit of background about some of the economic aspects. So what actually is a cryptocurrency? A cryptocurrency is a digital token or asset that holds a value and is traded online and is secured through cryptography. Now, the most common cryptocurrency that I'm sure all of you have heard of is Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin runs on something which is called a blockchain. And a blockchain is essentially a large ledger which keeps track of all the transactions that occur within a cryptocurrency. So let's say if I transferred some of Bitcoin over to Prady, it would be recorded on a node would be added to the blockchain and would be recorded, and that way it expands. And finally, from these came an NFT. Now, an NFT is a non-fungible token, which means that each token has a different value. It's almost like a digital art piece. And so based off that, we came to our solution.
Okay, now I'm going to expand upon our solution, which we devised to tackle the issue that Roxanne had mentioned. So this is a basic overview of the prototype that I'll be going over. That it's fully functioning. Although we do not have a full domain, it is a functioning prototype where we have done the code, and it's functioning in terms of all of the tabs and the functionality. So this is the overview. This is the front page where once you connect to your MetaMask wallet, which is the most popular way of storing your cryptocurrencies upon the Google Chrome browser, it just displays your account address and account balance. And by simply switching between your accounts and reloading the page, the data automatically updates, so it's fully self-functioning in that. Our next page is the overview of minting an NFT. So what we have done is we've created a basic structure of our NFT customization tools. So we have 15 different customizable details of this base structure that we devised. And you can create your own NFT's name, you can upload your own price. And on the prototype, we've set the cryptocurrency form as Ethereum because that is one of the most popular cryptocurrencies. However, we are looking at other forms of cryptocurrencies such as Solana, which have lower gas fees, which is sort of the commission rates in the cryptocurrency terms. So by using the cryptocurrencies that diminish those to the lowest, we're kind of allowing for better use of the platform. And this is just a basic structure. So of course, with many NFT websites and marketplaces out there, you can fully customize your own NFTs. But we just created this as a base structure so that over future enhancements and improvements, users will be able to fully customize their NFTs so that they can upload more creative art pieces to the website. Once you create and mint NFTs, you can there's a section where you can actually view the NFTs that you've minted on the platform, on the server. So we have on the server there's like what are these 7 different main points of each NFT, including the token ID, the name, the account address which minted the token, the current owner, and how many transfers. And you can even change the token price really effectively. So it's a really efficient way to constantly update your token price. And you can even remove your NFTs from sale as well from the marketplace. So that's a good feature as well. And here's the number of NFTs you own. This was a marketplace, so this is all the NFTs minted on the platform. This is the number of NFTs you own. And then finally, we have queries. Now, why have we decided to include queries? So you can easily refer to NFTs that have been minted on the platform. Usually, a token ID on, say, many marketplaces such as Rarible and OpenSea, they would be randomized 7-digit alphanumeric codes. But we have designed them to just be see, you've minted the 7th NFT token on the website. The token ID would be 7 just for simplistic purposes, and you can easily refer back to the tokens. So if you just upload your token ID inside the token owner, and get token owner tab, you click on the button and then voila, you have the account address of the owner, so which displays there. And then respectively, if you upload the token ID to the corresponding section, you can also get the metadata of the token, which holds the token ID, token name, and all the metadata of the respective color values, because I showed there were 15 different customizable color values, so it shows all of that once uploaded.
And this is just an example of the gas fee going through. So this is one of the transactions taking place on the actual website. So now you may be asking, what's different about this from any other NFT platform? And the key thing is how we actually apply it to solve the problem statement we had mentioned earlier. So obviously people in LEDCs, they're more skeptical about these modern forms of finance. They're less likely to invest in them and they're less likely to buy them. I mean, I've heard of hundreds of people within Dubai, a first world country, who are skeptical about this. So why wouldn't people in third world countries do the same? So what we do is we have a special sort of, we have a charity section, which these charities are charities that we've connected with, and we would establish connections with those charities, through those charities with people in the LEDCs, because they already have that built-in trust. And what would happen is the gas fees that we mentioned earlier would be negated for people who are uploading NFTs using the charity themselves. So this would create an incentive for people to use our website and for people to for people within the LEDCs to actually do this, because they don't have any loss then, and it not only gives them exposure to this modern tool of finance and to this modern world of finance, but it also allows them to raise funds which could then be reinvested within those economies, improving education and then improving further literacy rates, which tackle the root problem.
So, through root cause analysis and building a prototype surrounding our problem statement, we acquired many skills. So this being softer skills such as communication and collaboration, skills such as understanding the blockchain and cryptocurrency, as well as more technical skills such as JavaScript, web design, and prototyping. So via the combination of these skills, School of Humanities enabled us to provide easier access to funds through modern financial methods for people in LEDCs.
And this is our team. And our contacts.
Good, good.
So,
a little bit more.
So now moving on to the research internship we had with UNIT, we looked into city tokens and how specifically a city token would be applied to Dubai. So yeah, those are the points we'll be covering.
So to begin, what is a city token and why do we need it? So a city token, I would describe it as an avenue as such that is incentivized for people to really partake in the development of a city and partake in its projects as well. So this being prevalent in two of our examples of the Miami coin as well as the NYC coin. So the Miami coin is a prime example as it really establishes that connection with the person and the city of Miami itself. It's proven to work really effectively as of now. And similarly with the New York coin, it's a way in which people interact with the economic growth of the city. And this was implemented recently in November 2021. And now there's upcoming one with Austin, Texas, known as the Austin coin.
Okay, now over to the tokenomics and the more technical aspect of city tokens. So what is tokenomics? Now, I'm sure with the preceding presentation, NFTs are non-fungible tokens which are in the form of digital assets, in the form of their assets that hold certain value on digital blockchains, on digital servers. So that's essentially the form of tokens. So these tokens can be mined by STX miners, and so these tokens. Why would you even want a city token as opposed to a normal token? It's because it allows you to give your input and give your individual input in terms of actual legal governance, which is in the form of, could be forums, discussions, and events. So owners of said city tokens could participate in collective discussions about the owners of the city tokens. It could be tokens in general. If you hold a wrap token, say, if that was created and you hold this wrap token, and you can participate in discussions, in events, in which owners of these wrap tokens can participate in discussions. They can gain insight into maybe new industry, innovation, etc. And yeah, and these unit tokens would be able to be purchased as normal NFT tokens, so that you can purchase them, you can sell them, and they're digital assets that you do hold. Now, why is this on the blockchain? The main purpose of the blockchain is that it's decentralized. Now, what does it mean to be decentralized? Is that there is no intermediary, there's no banks, there's no secondary or third parties in between. Let me give an example. Say with music, I'm sure many of you have Spotify. Now, you do pay that monthly premium for Spotify if you do have Spotify Premium, and not all of those funds that you pay go directly to the artists themselves. They go to Spotify, they go to the record labels, they go to the producers. So you're paying for the service rather than the music that you like. Whereas on the blockchain, that's not the case. It's completely transferable. So that say if you buy a token for a song. Now, if you buy the token for the song, which would be whatever calculated at maybe 50 cents per song, depending on and the calculations can differ based on your Spotify Premium. If you say pay 50 cents for a song, now all of that money will get transferred directly to the artist over the blockchain, because there is no need for any intermediary in the transaction, which is what makes the blockchain so amazing, that it's open. The blockchain, it's existing in that every single transaction creates a new block on the blockchain. It can always be referred back to, and it exists on the platform.
So now, as mentioned earlier, the tokens can link into governance. So obviously, the UAE is a monarchy. So there's no real democracy over the rules and regulations, any economic decisions being made, anything like that. But what the Dubai token could possibly allow us to do is create focus groups. So the stakeholders, the people who do own the Dubai token, as Prady had mentioned, could gather at events or forums and give their input or their feedback about certain economic decisions and such. It would create a stronger bond, essentially, between the citizens of Dubai and the government, and would allow for more consensus when making decisions relating to economic policy or even just projects in general. Or another avenue is a suggestion or survey system. So people of the Dubai token would have special access. They would basically have special perks that would allow them to have a direct link with the government through a website or whatever it is, and be able to give suggestions or feedback on certain aspects of the economy or just Dubai in general. And the reason we'd use a token to do this rather than just everyone is because people who actually buy the token then have a stake with the city, rather than just, let's say me, I would just go up to the government and tell them I want this changed about a certain policy. They're not going to listen to me because I have no real stake within the city itself. However, if I was to own a token, they know that I'm already financially invested within the city, and therefore my intentions are good, and my intentions, based on the survey and suggestion, would be to help the city grow.
So stakeholders, as we know, stakeholders are a party that's interested in the company that can either be affected by the business or affect the business. And in regards to token economy, this could be through three main categories. Consultation, which is a two-way process in which the stakeholder is directly involved in the upcoming projects and investments that they could potentially partake in. Informing, being that they're informed on the status of the projects that they invested in, as well as raising profiles in which the stakeholder itself and those who partake in the city economy can attract new residents and also new investments.
So now some usage and risk of the actual token. So a usage could be to act as a municipal bond, essentially. When you buy the token, the funds would go straight to the government, and you could control exactly what sector you would like the funds to go towards. So let's say you wanted a park to be built in a certain area of Dubai. When you buy the token, you could divert the funds towards that project. It would allow you, it basically be like a municipal bond in the US, which obviously Dubai doesn't have. And it could act as a form of charity. So it would allow people to invest in projects they genuinely believe in, and it would allow basically more collaboration within people in society. However, some risk with it would be that money would be diverted from other avenues. Obviously, whenever you invest in something, there's always a risk of loss. So if the economy took a hit, the value of the token would obviously depreciate. And so therefore, some money would be lost, and you wouldn't be able to, and spending would be reduced in other sectors. So consumption in other areas would be lowered. And another thing is a hype or interest. just like an NFT, tokens would work based on interest and hype of people around it. If people aren't interested in it or people don't actively buy into it, then it's likely it would fail. That's it. Thank you.
That was just amazing. Prady, Ismail, and Roxanne are, how old are you again? 16, 17 years old, right? Like, yeah, yeah. So this is what I'm talking about when we talk about the future of education, and Raya is doing a fantastic job. I mean, I think her business is super disruptive, and if you do have kids, do explore the curriculum that she offers. I'll give her the mic to just say a few words, and we can wrap up with this session.
Thank you, Anne. So I actually want to see if anyone has any questions. We could take any questions. I think the learners have done an amazing job, and what is really powerful about a model like this is they had their own journey. They got to pick their own project, they got to decide their approach with the internship, and so the curriculum emerges out of a certain framework. But I just wanted to leave it open if anyone has any questions about the model. Yes?
So do you have like a foundational courses that they have to take and then everything else is built on, then they build their own, or it's just you come in and,
Yeah.
like for
Yeah.
instance, like I'm a professor, so when the students come, everybody takes the same thing.
Yeah.
English, math, science. So we all have the same, like the same foundation, and then you decide, the rest of it is.
Yes, so when they do come to us, we're a high school, we're focusing on the high school level. So if learners join, they have to be at the equivalent of 8th grade or 9th grade before they come in. So that foundation is important. In terms of the foundational courses, what we do offer is the structure that they go through. So the pedagogy we follow is called challenge-based learning. And it's broken down into phases. You start by engaging with a challenge, then you investigate a challenge, and then in the act phases, you upskill to solve that challenge. So in case of this amazing group here, they were on the Future of Money pathway. So we guided them through that process, and they had an industry mentor who was also an expert in this field, particularly who was guiding them through the process. So to answer your question, there is some structure. There are some core workshops that everyone attends. And then a layer above that is their own personalized journey and their own personalized curriculum with the kinds of skill paths they pick and whatnot.
They need to learn how to read writing.
Of course, yeah. The key thing with models like this is not like you don't learn science, English, and math. That's a common misconception. You do it, but in a completely different way. You learn it through the context of real-world issues and real-world challenges. You might improve your writing skills by writing a business plan. You improve your public speaking skills by presenting and stuff like this, and apply your numeracy skills through real projects. And so it's really important that we continue to assess and develop those skills. It's just a completely different way of doing it. Good. Do you have time for more questions? One more question. Yes.
Actually, I was wondering, is the classes taken online? And also, do you guys do exchange program? Like,
Yeah.
students from abroad to take the classes?
So,
I'm just thinking about my nieces.
Sure,
They go to
sure.
regular schools, and we don't have that.
Sure. So yeah, we are primarily online. We do hybrid programs as well, and we're launching a hybrid campus here in Dubai. In terms of our online, we've had learners from over 25 countries participating, and we usually have cohorts across different time zones for that reason. So while we don't have an exchange program, there isn't a need for one when you have an online global base. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raya, Ismail, Prady, Roxanne. That was amazing, very inspiring, great job. We do want more of the youth to present at the Dubai World Forum. It is going to be a biannual event, so there's going to be more of this, and we're going to be growing our community.